You're brainwashed. She's in your way.
You're in my way, Mom. We're just gonna pack our bags. Come on, Hannah.
Yeah. We went upstairs and start packing. My name is Hannah. I'm 42 years old. I used to have a job, but now I'm a stay-at-home mom. Because the plan was for me to keep working. But my son was developing slowly and I wanted to take care of him by myself. I quit my job when my son was 1 year old and have been housewife ever since. I live with my mother-in-law. This cohabitation is something I knew before I got married to my husband. I thought my mother-in-law and I had a good relationship until she pointed out the child's stunted growth. Now the relationship is a disaster. My husband Andy has gone on a long overseas business trip and I have no one on my side. My mother-in-law's sarcastic attacks started when my son turned 1 year old. We still had a good relationship and went together to my son's first checkup. And there, the doctor said to me, "Is he going to walk yet?" And my mother-in-law changed. The car ride home was quiet, and my mother-in-law was merely displeased. She wears her emotions on her sleeves. The doctor's words made her brow darken and she became... After returning home, my mother-in-law's verbal abuse began. "I can't believe you gave birth to a handicapped son. I knew that an elderly mother would give birth to a son like this." "Mother, he's not handicapped, he's just..." "Shut up. The doctor said he wouldn't walk yet." "They did say that, but babies develop in all different ways. My mother said I was a slow walker too, and I started walking at 18 months old. Every baby is unique." My mother-in-law stares at me. "That's what mothers of handicapped children often say. Disability is a personality? Are you kidding me? You know how embarrassing this is to me." I resent my mother-in-law's comment. Children are parents' treasure. No one has a child with a disability from choice. They have many conflicts and suffered from many hardships. Even so, when a child showed you a different side from yesterday, you'd be happy for the growth of the child. Your comment is an insult to those who are doing their best to raise their children. My mother-in-law snickered. "Don't talk big to me. I don't care about others." "But you're embarrassed to face other people. If you don't care about the others, you should know that they don't matter, because they are strangers." "You're really cheeky. I didn't want you as my son's wife from the start." I was upset that my mother-in-law could change so drastically at the slightest word from a doctor. But I was sure this was her true nature. From that day on, although we lived together, we never saw each other. I couldn't talk to my husband about it. Although she is verbally abusive, she is still an important mother to my husband. And because our relationship had been so good up to that point, talking to him on the phone would only create confusion. But I wanted my husband to focus on his work. So I decided to face my child alone. But things were not so easy. One day, my mother-in-law came to my room and complained. "Hey, you should put him in an institution." "What?" "That boy. You can't keep him in this house forever. He's a handicapped child." "Do you think I would give him up?" "I'm saying I don't want to live with a handicapped child." "I mean, he just taking some time to start walking." "Don't talk back to me. I know what I'm talking about." "What?" "He's got a lot of your grandmother's blood in him." What? What my mother-in-law was trying to say was that my grandmother was blind. She was already blind when I was born. And now she's trying to tell me that I inherited her. It's true that she was totally blind. But that happened when she had Behçet disease when my mother was still in elementary school. There is no proven inheritance of Behçet's. When I got married, my grandmother came all the way to explain it to my mother-in-law. She deeply cared about me and told me, Hannah's marriage would be ruined if she thought that my eyes were genetic. My grandmother had such wonderful heart. Back then, even my mother-in-law said that I had a nice grandmother. But behind our back, my mother-in-law was thinking like that. I thought at the time that I didn't want my grandchildren to inherit it. Now, see what's happening. I'm not kidding about the handicapped family. You've got to be kidding me. What are you talking about? I can't hear you. Maybe your grandmother was a bad influence. Did she turn on your husband, mother, like you are doing? Maybe that's what got her blind. Take it back. My grandma was bullied from a bitch mother-in-law like you. She barely got to eat and was thrown out barefoot in the cold northeast. She got sick from the stress. Because of a bitch like you. My mother-in-law flinched at my retort, but she was not defeated. Oh, so her husband didn't protect her. Your grandma is not a good judge of character. He couldn't protect her. Grandpa was drafted into Siberia. When he returned home safely, he left his parents' house as soon as he found out the truth. But he couldn't make it in time. He regretted it until the day he died. He tried his best to take care of my grandma. Don't you dare disrespect my grandparents, you old hat. They are so pathetic. You are the pathetic one. Now I know why your husband divorced you. You're more pathetic than my grandma because your husband is still alive and well. You are the one who got dumped because of your arrogance. Shut up. I won't accept a handicapped child anyway. My mother-in-law went downstairs, her footsteps thumping. I couldn't stay here any longer. I quickly called my parents' house and briefly explained the situation. Then I packed my bags and I put on my shoes at the front door. Oh, you are leaving? Thanks to you, I learned a lot about my mother-in-law's true nature. Please, take it easy on yourself. Oh, now you are alone again. Your husband is gone, your son is gone. Your daughter-in-law will also leave you. Good luck. My mother-in-law, perhaps offended by my comment, was about to follow me out to the but I closed the door as hard as I could and left. When I arrived at the nearby cafe, my parents had already arrived. My parents had only one thing to say. Each child grows up differently. They welcomed me. Later that night, I received a call from my husband. My mom called me. She was very angry. Oh, yes. What happened? She's making a big deal about our child having a disability. I'm sorry to bother you at work. Never mind. You know, about 2 weeks ago, there was a 1-year-old checkup. I went with your mother and the doctor told me that our son doesn't walk yet. When she heard that, she told me that he was handicapped because of my grandma's genetic disorder. I couldn't hold back my tears. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you. It's okay. I'm sorry about your grandma too. I'm sorry my mother said such horrible things about her. Yeah, but I was angry too. I called her a bitch. Yeah, well said, she's a bitch. Not all kids grow up the same. Yeah, I agree. I think that's true. Let's just take our time to see how our child grows up. Anyway, I'm gonna head back out there in a few days. Just stay safe until I get back. My husband had the same opinion. That alone made feel much better. I agreed with him and stayed away from my mother-in-law's house until he returned home. A week later, he came back temporarily. My husband directly came to my parents' house. Have you been okay since then? Has she done anything to you? No, I haven't gone back there. I haven't heard from her. Well, that's good. I'm gonna go back to talk to my mom about moving out. I'll go with you. Oh, you sure you okay with that? Yeah. I've got some stuff I want to bring home. And my mom can take care of her son. We headed to my in-laws' house together. When we arrived there, I found not only my mother-in-law, but also my sister-in-law. My mother-in-law was smiling at my husband, but her face towards me was so cold as ever. Welcome home. Can you stay a little longer this time?
Why is my sister here too?
Because we need to talk about the divorce. We need to talk about it as a family.
No, I'm just packing my stuff. I just came to tell you that I'm leaving.
What?
You're going to choose a crippled child over me? I'm your mother. Yeah, I know. And I'm ashamed of you. Having a low-level mother like you.
You've been brainwashed. You're a real pain in the ass, Hannah.
You are in my way, Mom. We're just gonna pack our bags. Come on, Hannah.
Yeah. We went upstairs and started packing. Not longer after that, my mother-in-law came upstairs too. Let me help you. You know, I think I was out of line. I want to see my grandchild regularly, even if we have to live separately from now on. You should come to see me once in a while. What's got into her? She has suddenly become sweet. I stared at my mother-in-law, but my husband completely ignored her. He's quietly packing his bag. Hannah, you left your things in my room. It must be the ring your grandmother gave you. You lent it to me once. Take it with you. I'll help you pack. I left my room and headed for the stairs. My sister-in-law was right there in front. She was just going downstairs too. I was about to talk to her when she tripped on something and fell down the stairs. I rushed to the stairs as quickly as I could. What my sister-in-law tripped on was a transparent thread that had been intentionally set. I stepped over the transparent thread and ran to my sister-in-law. She fell on her face and was not moving. I left the scene and called an ambulance. Oh, Hannah, you screwed up. Did you fall down the stairs? My mother-in-law seems to be standing at the top of the stairs. Hannah? Are you okay? I heard my husband's voice. As you can see, I'm fine. But she's not. She fell down the stairs. Please call an ambulance. I ran back to my sister-in-law. I turned her onto her back. I was about to lay her down a little away from the stairs. Oh my God! Why did it happen to you? My mother-in-law screamed and tried to run down the stairs. Mother, no, the thread! She caught on the thread with such force that she went flying through the air and took a huge leap off the staircase. Andy, no! The transparent thread is still there. How did this happen? My mother-in-law was knocked to the floor with a mighty thump.
Hannah, can you call an ambulance? I'll call the police.
Yeah. The in-laws' house were in an uproar. 2 ambulances rushed into the scene, and even a police car. My sister-in-law was sent immediately to the hospital as she had a concussion. But fortunately, she was okay and only needs to recover from a broken right leg. However, my mother-in-law was badly injured and was left with a serious disability in the lower half of her. If my sister-in-law had reported the incident, my mother-in-law would have received a prison sentence for sure. However, my sister-in-law did not file a report because she was concerned about what neighbors around would say. I know that my mother-in-law set up the trap on the stairs against me, but it was not me who was caught in the trap. If my sister-in-law, who was the victim of the crime, did not want to charge my mother-in-law with the crime, I have no choice but to respect her decision. I have no sympathy for my mother-in-law who fell for her own trap. We felt our lives were in danger, so we insulated ourselves from my mother-in-law and officially moved to my parents' house. Because of that incident, my husband stayed with us for a couple of weeks, but when we found a place to live, he went back to overseas again. I thought I could go on living without having a deal with my mother-in-law. However, I underestimated the way a criminal like my mother-in-law thinks. About a month after I started living with my parents, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered the phone. not realizing that it was my mother-in-law on the other end of the line. Hello, it's me. It's been a while. What do you want from us? Why are you so angry? We are family. We don't have a family member who takes human life lightly. You've got to be kidding me. I gotta go. Wait a minute. You know what? I'm in trouble. My daughter hasn't come to see me since then. My son is abroad and I'm having a hard time making a living on my own. How can she be so disrespectful? I almost lost my life because of her. I can't. Oh no. I'm in your grandmother's shoes. You must feel sorry for me. I'm a cripple too. What? Blood is rushing to my head. It's not the same. Don't you dare compare yourself with my grandmother. You set your own trap and you fell into it. It's called a karma, and there's no one there to save you from being alone. It's hard to live alone. So what? This phone number is new, isn't it? You arranged it yourself. You can live on your own. Just don't call me again. No matter how many times you call, I won't pick up. Never. My mother-in-law was still talking, but I hang up without hesitation. She was a person who only thought about herself to the end. I had no idea that one word from the doctor could change the future. But the doctor's insensitive comment revealed my mother-in-law's true nature. Sooner or later, it would have been impossible to have. Now, at 1 year and 3 months old, my son is beginning to waddle and walk. Growing up doesn't have to be. If he grows slowly, it's just fine if we take care of him slowly in his pace. I will continue to be grateful for the support I receive from the people around. I'm going to live with my family of 3 in our own pace. Mother-in-law, you have exactly what I can't believe you fell for. The trap you set yourself. Punishment really does come true, doesn't it?
The next morning, I woke up around 8 o'clock. I turned on the TV, and it was still all about the weather in the area where my in-laws lived. It said it had been raining pretty hard. Some of the residents have evacuated to nearby elementary schools and other shelters. I immediately called my husband, but he wouldn't pick up. My in-laws were elderly. I hoped they were not involved in the disaster. I was so worried all morning that I called my mother-in-law even though it was still very early. She immediately answered the phone. "Oh, thank God you picked up. Are you okay with all the rain over there?" "Oh, Emily, thanks for your concern. Actually, it's worse than I expected. I just evacuated with my husband to a nearby middle school." "That bad? I feared it was bad." "Well, I haven't been able to get a hold of Jason. Is he still asleep over there?" When I asked her that, her response surprised me. "What? Jason? He's not with us. Why?" "What? Well, he told me he was going on a 4-day trip with you guys. I thought you were supposed to fly out today." "A trip? I haven't heard about that." "Oh, really?" At that moment, I realized everything. My name is Emily. I am a 30-year-old office worker. My husband Jason and I got married 2 years ago, and we are happy together. We came to know each other through a blind date. I was attracted to him because I liked his face and he was a hard worker. We went out for dinner a few times, started dating, and eventually got married. We don't have any children yet. It's not that we don't try, but 2 years have passed, and still no sign of a baby. I'm not in a rush to have a baby because I'm enjoying my job and I'd like to have a little more time alone with my husband. I am a little concerned that my parents and in-laws would want to have grandchildren. Actually, I asked Jason if his parents said anything about wanting to have grandchildren, but they haven't said anything in particular. Still, we've been married for 3 years now. I won't be surprised if they say something to us. Jason often visits his parents' house. He is the same age as me, but his parents had him late. So Jason's parents were almost 10 years older than mine. That's why he often visits their house to check on them. It's Friday, so I guess I'll just go to my parents' house and stay there overnight. Okay, tell them I said hello. Jason doesn't ask me to come along, perhaps out of consideration for me. I don't have a bad relationship with my in-laws, but he seems to think that it must be hard for me to visit my parents-in-law so often. I love my husband for considerate gestures like that. When I see how much he cares about his family, I knew that one day, if we have children, we would be able to have a happy family. One day my mother-in-law's birthday was coming up, and Jason asked me if he could go on a trip for her birthday. He wanted to take a Friday and Saturday off and go on a trip for 4 days. Mom's getting old. Who knows when will be the last chance to go on a trip with her. I was a little sad to be away from my husband for almost a week, but I wanted to respect my husband's love for his mother, so I agreed. Then on Thursday night, he packed his luggage in his car and left for his parents. My in-laws lived in a different county as ours, and they no longer drive themselves. So Jason was going to drive there to pick them up. He was going to go to his parents' house on Thursday and stay the night. They would go to the airport next morning to start their trip. They are visiting Los Angeles. I've been there on a business trip myself. Los Angeles is a very nice city and has many popular tourist spots as well. If you have 4 days in LA, you can visit so many places. I hoped they would enjoy their trip. But after I sent Jason off to his parents' house, the news on the TV surprised me. The city where Jason's parents lived in had been hit hard by torrential rains. I wondered if Jason would be able to get there by car. I hurriedly texted my husband. "Are you okay driving in that rain? I saw the news." But he didn't read my message after 2 hours, and I was worried, so I called him. "Hey, what's up?" He sounded so casual I raised my voice a little. "Where are you?" "At my parents'. I told you I was going on a family trip with Mom and Dad." "I know that. I just saw you off 2 hours ago. I was worried when I saw the news. The rain seems pretty bad over there. You didn't even read my messages." "Oh, sorry about that. I had my phone on silent mode while driving, and I left it in my bag." "Yeah, it was raining pretty hard, but the roads were much better than I expected." I was relieved to hear that. "Good then. Have a safe trip." With that, I hung up and went to sleep, relieved. The next morning, I woke up around 8 o'clock. I turned on the TV, and it was still all about the weather in the area where my in-laws lived. It said it had been raining pretty hard. Some of the residents had evacuated to nearby elementary schools and other shelters. Oh, this is pretty bad, isn't it? I immediately called my husband, but he wouldn't pick up. I texted him. "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Is it safe over there? Do you need to evacuate the house or anything?" Maybe it's because it was too early in the morning he didn't read my messages. I wondered if my husband was safe. My in-laws were elderly. I hoped they were not involved in the disaster. I was so worried all morning that I called my mother-in-law even though it was still very early. She immediately answered the phone. "Oh, thank God you picked up. Are you okay with all the rain over there?" Oh, Emily, thanks for your concern. Actually, it's worse than I expected. I just evacuated with my husband to a nearby middle school. That bad? I feared it was bad. Yes, the water level kept rising last night. We knew it was too dangerous to stay there, so we evacuated before midnight. Last night? Something was off. My husband told me the road wasn't that bad. And when I called him around 10 p.m., he said he was at his parents' house. So it got worse very quickly after that, and then they evacuated. Was it the case? I haven't been able to get a hold of Jason. Is he still asleep over there? When I asked her that, her response surprised me. What? Jason? He's not with us. Why? What? Well, he told me he was going on a 4-day trip with you guys. I thought you were supposed to fly out today. A trip? I haven't heard about that. Oh, really? At that moment, I realized everything. Could it be? Yes, I'm pretty sure now. My mother-in-law asked anxiously, Is Jason on his way here? So I said, No, apparently I was mistaken. I told her not to worry, that he was not coming. I immediately started packing. Meanwhile, I got a message back from Jason. Everything's fine. We're at the airport and about to fly. I won't be able to reply while I'm on the plane. I couldn't help but laugh. I don't know who he's going with. I was certain that my husband was having an affair, so I decided to be ruthless and cancelled our apartment. I called my parents, explained the situation, and arranged to send my stuff to my parents' house. Then I contacted a contractor to arrange the move. They said they could come right away because it wasn't a busy season for them. The next day, the contractor came and took my stuff to my parents. I had no hard evidence, but my parents were already angry about how Jason lied to me. I quickly hired a detective agency. And in the meantime, I decided to look for an apartment. About the time I arrived at my parents' house, I got a call from Jason's mom. Emily, I was just wondering about what you said. Before Jason left, did he tell you that he was going on a trip with us? When your mother-in-law asks you a question like this, you have no choice but to tell her. Yes, he did. He told me you're visiting Los Angeles for 4 days to celebrate your birthday. I never heard anything about that. Jason doesn't ever even call to wish me a happy birthday. And he hardly ever visits us, you know. What? Wait a minute. Jason regularly visited your house on weekends to check on you guys. We haven't seen each other lately. Maybe once or twice a year, only when he's with you, Emily. Oh boy. I was shocked. Jason had been lying to me all along. Jason's mother picked up on the discrepancies in our stories. She asked me what this could mean. I told her that I thought Jason was probably having an affair. She said, I knew it. I am so sorry for what my stupid son's been doing to you. Well, could you do me a favor? I am still doing some investigation on him. Could you pretend you don't know anything about this for a while? She said she will, and we hung up. And a few days later, Jason apparently got home and called me. Hey, where did all your stuff go? At my parents'. It will stay there for a while. What? Why? Why would you do that? I just needed some time alone. I'm not sure if we could live together anymore. What does that even mean? What's the problem? Don't get me started. I just need some space. Please, leave me alone. This is insane. He acted like he was shocked, but I thought he sounded as if he was secretly excited. Anyway, I had to buy myself some time so that he wouldn't find out that I'd set a detective on him. You might think that I shouldn't have left home right away so as not to draw suspicion from him. But obviously, you wouldn't want to see your husband knowing he's seeing another woman. I was too angry to see him and not punch him in the face. A few weeks later, the results of the investigation came back. Now that I have the evidence of his affair, I went to see Jason for the first time in a long time. You're home at best. What the hell were you doing? He accused me the moment he saw me. Shortly after, Jason's parents arrived. Jason flinched. What are you doing here, Mom and Dad? I asked them to come over today so that they can learn about the awful things you've done. What the hell do you mean? He had the nerve to play dumb. I spread out the photos on the table so we all could see the evidence of the affair. Instantly, he went pale. How did you get all these? You've been cheating on me all this time. You lied about your trip, and you were with this woman, huh? When I questioned him, he got desperate and tried to explain. This must be some kind of misunderstanding. I never cheated on you, Emily. Then why did you lie about the trip? Who did you really go with? I was with my friends. I thought you wouldn't like it if I told the truth, Emily. That's why I told you I was going with Mom and Dad. Don't try to make excuses. No more lies. You said you were going to check on your parents, but you were actually meeting your mistress. That's not true. Jason was still trying to get away with it, but his parents were also there. He wouldn't stand a chance. You've never came home to check on us. You lied to Emily and you were seeing another woman. Give up already and tell her the truth. Jason's mother was so furious that Jason finally confessed to us that he had been cheating on me. The next thing I knew, Jason's father threw a punch at his son. You are the worst kind of man. Why can't you cherish your wife? Jason covered his cheek with his hand, stunned. Thank you for giving him the punch on my behalf. I thanked my father-in-law. We are over, and you'll pay me alimony. With that, I handed him the divorce papers. He said, it was just for fun. He said, don't do this, we need to talk, or something like that. But his dad thundered out and got Jason to pick up the pen and sign the papers. I collected the divorce papers that my husband had filled out. At the end, I said, oh, by the way, I've cancelled this apartment. I told him he had to leave in 2 days. He froze. Naturally, his parents had no intention of letting him stay with them. Jason would have to find a place on short notice. Otherwise, he'll be charged with trespassing. Also, he couldn't go to his mistress's house, because she's also married. I filed for divorce, and through my lawyer, I filed a claim for alimony against my now ex-husband and his mistress. I sent a content-certified letter to the mistress's house. I guess that exposed her affair. Now Jason and his mistress had to pay her husband as well. They may be huddled together in debt now. I'm sure they are not living happily ever after. It serves them right. I, on the other hand, was able to find a nice place for myself and moved in. It's close to my office, so I'm very comfortable in my daily life. Since I don't want a relationship for a while, maybe I'll try to find a new hobby to work on in my free time. It's disgusting how Jason used his own parents to cover for his lies. It's horrible to think that if it weren't for the bad rain, she might not have found out about the affair. At any rate, it's good to know he's been punished. I hope that next time, Emily will meet a good and faithful man.